Good morning, hospitality listeners. Welcome back to a new episode of Good Morning Hospitality. We are trying something a little new with a new intro. So today on the episode, you're going to hear about how Capital One is acquiring the Hopper Tech, not the full company, while also Apple and Delta are going deeper into their partnership and also creating more open API for tracking your bags and luggage at the airport. So there's going to be tons of news on that. And of course, CitizenM has new financing post Marriott acquisition, and the Marriott acquisition actually helped with this new loan structure. So on today's episode, we also have a guest joining us, Dennis Schaal, the founding editor of Skift. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Good morning, Sarah. I'm trying to fill in with that Steve Turk intro.
I know, but we got a lot of new stuff. We got a lot of new happening this week. You start with that new intro. I'm a big fan of that style where you kind of set us up so everybody that's joining us knows where we're going to be going today. And then I also love the actual new introduction with that music. That's totally recapping the whole early morning energy vibe that we like to keep strong.
I was just going to say, we were really trying to tap into that early morning energy. Monica at the creative team at Skift really pulled that all together. She was the creative eye behind it. So shout out to Monica. Thanks for all your hard work. She makes my life a lot easier. So
bravo.
Very excited for all the new changes and for today's episode, because we have a legend in our midst.
We do.
A legend.
Yeah, actually, yes, a legend joining us the day before Thanksgiving, which is crazier. So I saw Lou sent a quick message. He was like, "Where is Sarah?" Jeez.
Where are you? Your background is different. So where are you? Because also for the listeners, Steve Turk could not make it today. He is still on the show. I'm just filling in as a backup to a backup to a backup. The last resort kind of thing. He's out this week, but we'll be back next week.
Yeah, definitely. So I happen to be at my grandparents' house in good old Allentown, Pennsylvania. For those that know all the smaller regional airports, ABE flew in there last week. But what's so cool about this lovely purple room that I'm in is I've got all these maps behind me, and I think we're talking about it. It's super cool. So there's a map of Antarctica because my grandparents went. All these AAA maps. They have one of Los Angeles that they got when I moved there 20 years ago. So cool. It's super cool. So it's a little bit of a different room, but lots of travel history around me.
Lots of travel history, which we're going to get into in some future episodes. But I think we've been keeping Dennis backstage long enough.
Yes.
Should we bring
Without
on?
further ado, bring on Dennis. Come on, Dennis.
Dennis
Come
Schaal,
on down.
Hey, I'm ready to boogie with that new intro, so let's go.
Let's go. I saw Dennis's head backstage bobbing along, so I was like, all right, if Dennis is moving and grooving, then we're in a good shape. We're in good shape.
If it's Dennis approved, it's like it's a go.
It's right. Go.
Love, perfect.
Dennis, I would love for the listeners that don't know how legendary you are and your background, I would love for you to give us a quick intro. Obviously, founding editor at Skift. So you've covered so much. I actually told Dennis this at Skift Global Forum. I was reading your stories when I was a front desk agent at a Marriott autograph collection. So I'm a big fan, obviously. So I would love for you to take a quick moment for an intro.
Thank you very much. First of all, I deny everything. But beyond that, I have been covering online travel for various publications for 25 years.
No way. You started when you were 6, right? Okay.
Exactly. And founding editor of Skift, we founded Skift, 3 people in a co-working space, then 5 people, and it's grown, beyond my wildest dreams. And writing, I wrote an oral history of online travel, talking to all the founders, and I've sort of charted it the whole way.
I love that.
Yeah, it's incredible. And for the listeners, I definitely think you should check out the history of online travel piece. It's actually one of my favorite pieces to reference because
Mhm.
of the depth and detail, which I think is we were talking backstage a little bit about this, like how kind of a lost art, right? Like short form content has really
Yeah.
ruined our attention span. So if you can sit down for 20 to 30 minutes and read something on screen, I think this is one of the pieces definitely to jump
There are
into.
anecdotes in there that literally are not fit to print. Some really juicy
Oh,
ones. So
Yes.
ooh, I love it. That's great. I actually haven't read that piece, so I'm gonna put it on my list to check out later today.
Don't you
Definitely.
worry, Sarah. I'll be sending it right
Oh,
now.
can't wait.
Right
Can't
now.
wait. It's so cool. Well, one of the reasons why we have Dennis on is because of some big news that has been happening or that has happened lately. And so Capital One is acquiring Hopper Tech. So, Dennis, why don't you kind of give us like a little bit of a rundown in regards to this, just to kind of bring everybody up to speed with it?
yeah, so Hopper has powered Capital One Travel since around 2021,
Okay.
providing the flights and hotels and all the fintech products like
Mm,
price prediction and price protection. And so now what's happening is Capital One is poised to acquire the customized tech that Hopper uses to power Capital One Travel. It's
mhm.
not powering all of it's not taking all of Hopper's tech. Hopper will still be alive,
Yeah.
and it's poised to hire a chunk of Hopper's engineering team and hotel team, so it can so Capital One could strike out on its own and establish its own direct relationships with hotels and do other things.
This is interesting. Like, and it's also, for those I think that maybe not be following the industry as closely. I mean, we're familiar with Hopper from the B2C side of things.
Yeah.
And so I like that this is really showcasing more of their B2B play that they've been really building out for quite some time. Right?
Yeah, but now so they've been doing the B2B stuff for around 3 years. They power a bunch of banks in Japan, in Canada, in Latin America. They power Uber travel.
Okay.
But
That's cool.
now they're you know how hot B2B is in travel these
Mhm.
days. So
Yeah.
Hopper is basically abandoning its consumer business.
Yeah.
It's all but shut it down.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah. And
Wow.
90% of its revenue now comes from the B2B business.
Well, definitely would
Dennis,
make sense that that's where more of the money is coming from. Keep going.
no, for sure. And I was going to say, I found it really interesting that Uber went the route of Hopper for their Uber travel side of inventory because of all the rumors around, Dara was former CEO at Expedia. So why not
Right.
have the Expedia roll up or a partnership happen? Is there a particular reason why you think Uber chose Hopper? Was it because of their stronger B2B side or maybe growing B2B side?
It could have been. Hopper is known for the young travelers it attracts.
Yeah,
You know, everyone thought Hopper was a really big up and coming brand that they would go public, that they would challenge Expedia. They have
Mm,
all these fintech products. I don't know how it is now, but for a while, Hopper was making more money on fintech products than it was selling the actual travel. So I think
sure.
maybe Uber saw an up and coming company, but
mm,
it just reminded me of Marriott and Sonder. You
yeah.
know,
Mm,
Marriott did this partnership with Sonder that collapsed,
mhm.
and you can make an argument that Hopper is, fading.
Yeah.
So some parallels there.
Oh, interesting. But again, it's also, I mean, as any company would, it's like you follow where the money is. And so it's
Yeah.
like if the business is growing in one direction, and this happens all the time in various forms of technology, it might start a business or a piece of tech might start for solving one problem. And then as it's in implementation, you're realizing, oh, actually, this makes more sense. So I mean, it's kind of like a natural sort of progression
Yeah.
of a tech company.
Yep.
Um, but that's interesting to say the least.
I kind of
And
want to ask you, Dennis,
yeah,
around the credit card side of things,
yeah,
because Capital One acquired Discover, which was a big move, especially after all the acquisitions being shut down by the government in the last couple of years. And so that was a big play, a big consolidation in the credit card space. But then also, I think American Express, I saw you post an article, is looking for a potential buyer for their corporate travel side of things. So the credit card businesses have been really pushing into loyalty and distribution and travel in general. What do you think is next? Because as you said, Hopper is pretty much fading in a lot of ways, and we'll cover a piece about the founder starting something new and exciting. But it just seems silly for me, that they're just acquiring this tech piece and not the whole company. But you made some good points behind the stage, so we'd love to kind of get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, well, Hopper has been around forever. I don't know if it's 15 years. People think it's a startup. They've gone through. When they began, they didn't launch a product for like the first 5 years, and it wasn't a product. It was sort of like a TripAdvisor. It wasn't the product that you know today. So they took forever to launch, I just lost my train of thought. Yeah. So what we're seeing is the emergences of these powerful credit card companies. We have Amex Travel, we have Chase Travel, who are the two leaders, and Capital One has kind of fallen behind. Chase acquired Frosh Travel in order to get going. I could see Capital One doing some more acquisitions as well, because I think they're gonna have to build like this travel agency infrastructure if they really want to strike out on their own.
Interesting. That makes complete sense. And it's like, I mean, I don't know. I think about it with what I've got. I've got an Amex, I've got Chase, I've got Capital One. And I was just looking at it the other day and I was like, I never use my Capital One points for travel. And so just because we're almost programmed to go find it elsewhere and understanding the value. So this will be great for Capital One to really kind of like step up their game and their offerings.
Right. I think there's some their hotel collection. I don't know if it was just a promotion, but they were offering like 10x points on hotel bookings. So
amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, so let's talk about the founder. So this was what I thought was so interesting with the piece that you wrote. There's like been something going on kind of behind the scenes that not everybody's been necessarily aware of. So what has the founder been up to?
Yeah, so nobody in the travel industry appeared to know about this. But in 2022, the founder, Fred Lalonde, went out and formed a new company, a climate capture company. They do climate projects to capture the carbon and store them. He is now the chairman and co-founder of this company.
Okay.
He took the Hopper CTO with him. There's Lawrence Tassi, former CFO Airbnb, is a co-founder as well. So you have to ask, Hopper raised $740 million. Does Hopper investors, are they really crazy about the fact that he's now has his attention on a second company?
Yeah. A new baby.
A new baby. Maybe it's the favored child. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because, again, obviously he's mindful of that, hence why it's been a little bit under the radar. I mean, it's out there. It's information that we're privy to, but it's obviously not being blown up or overly advertised at this point. But then again, with Capital One acquiring the Hopper Tech, maybe the investors are like, you know what, it's okay because like the company is going where the money is anyway. So they hopefully they feel comfortable and strong with that decision at least.
Yeah, but I just wonder about Hopper's future because Capital One is their largest partner, and we don't know if there will be no relationship between Hopper and Capital One when this deal goes down and announced. But you just have to wonder about the future of their B2B business if they're losing their largest customer.
Yeah.
100%. And with $700 million plus raised, it's no small decision, I would say, right? Like if you're losing your biggest customer, for them to just take your tool with them, like they don't need you anymore. There's no more money with that outside of the sale. So I don't know that
Mhm.
sale can only last so long. So I would be surprised if investors are really surprised, or not surprised, but happy about the decision. But again, who knows? Maybe they're getting a nice little chunk of change. So
It don't look good.
don't look.
Oh, you heard it here first.
Yeah,
It's like, but yeah. So I mean, I think that's a really valid point. So it's kind of big news. Also interesting, like this week, kind of
yeah,
a big sort of travel week, and it's interesting that it's kind of like dropping now.
yeah,
A lot of stuff going on. Yeah, with the Marriott Sonder thing, and
Yeah,
mhm,
a lot of news.
yeah, a
definitely.
lot of shifts happening. That's for sure.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Well,
Well, I was gonna ask you just, Dennis,
yeah,
on your quick take on the landscape of distribution and loyalty. This has
yeah.
been a topic we've covered a lot, and this is kind of like my last question for you, just on where, like, the Capital One, Chase, Amex, all big credit card players, Marriott Bonvoy becoming more of a distribution channel than just a hotel brand itself.
Hmm.
Where do you see this going?
You could argue that this is a positive development for hotels. Hotels have long been looking for alternatives to Expedia and Booking.com, the
Sure.
power that they have. For a while, TripAdvisor got into hotel bookings, and
Hmm.
some hoteliers were hoping that this would be sort of a third force. So, now Amex Travel and Chase Travel, they're among the largest leisure travel companies in the United States,
Hmm.
and with Capital One on the road to becoming stronger, you could argue that this is positive for hotels, because now there's a new gunslinger in town.
Yeah, it's kind
Yeah,
of like breaking up the pie, so to speak, so that just distribution is just going to be a little bit different.
Right.
The power.
Right. And also, for me, like, you hear a lot of talk of agentic AI, and
Mm,
we'll have
mhm,
to see where that's going.
yes,
Um, and people have tried to book travel in social media, on TikTok and whatever, but travelers, historically, they want to book with their credit card companies. They want
mhm.
to
they
book
do.
direct. They want to book with OTAs.
They do.
So yeah, so agentic has a lot to prove. It has a
Yeah,
long way to go, but it has a lot to prove about whether travelers will really want to book on ChatGPT.
I think I think they will. I think it's more of just a timing thing, just
Hmm.
as travelers get more comfortable with it. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? It's I mean, think about at some point there was the shift of, oh, I'm not necessarily booking direct with a hotel. Now I'm booking with a third party, an an OTA, originally at some point that shift happened. And so yeah, it's gonna be interesting. It's the tale of two worlds in essence, because you've got the consumers, which they're going to do whatever's easiest for them. I mean, I talk
Right.
to travelers all the time and they're like, oh yeah, I'm just going to go like book it on an OTA. And the hotelier in me is always like, everybody, look, the pie is big enough. Everybody's got a piece of the pie, but the hoteliers and me like book direct or,
Yeah,
Right.
or like, or with a travel advisor. But I mean, look, there's an absolute need and space for it. And, they're user friendly. So as agentic AI, obviously, as it ends up evolving, people go where there's the least amount of friction, and whatever's the easiest and looks the prettiest and has a great user experience, that's where people are going to go. And that's how they're going to book their stuff.
They want to go where they can get their points and where they
yeah,
can get the lowest price.
Oh,
yep.
So,
totally. Oh my
yeah.
gosh. Yeah, definitely. And I don't blame them, it,
Yeah, the
it makes sense. Yes,
gamification of it. Yeah,
totally. Ooh,
yeah,
the
it's good
landscape
stuff.
is a changing.
Yes.
Damn.
Dennis, we're
Totally.
gonna quote that. Just damn. Um, so good. Well, Dennis, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I know it's holiday season. We're all traveling, getting ready to spend some time eating a ton of good food. So thank you so much for joining
Yes,
us on this special
seriously, thank you.
segment to cover this. Obviously, I'm sure we're gonna have you back on once the deal actually closes and
Please,
actually
yes.
we have more juicy bits.
Hey, thanks
Come
for
back
having
on
me.
anytime.
Yeah,
Thanks so much.
of
Of
course. Well,
course.
thank you so much. We'll see you guys soon.
Yeah, amazing.
Awesome. He's the
Wow.
best. He's the best.
He's great. He again, like absolute legend, and knows so much about the industry. So That's fascinating. I love it. Thank you for asking that question at the end. Like, where is the landscape? Like, what's happening in the future? Obviously,
Yeah.
we don't have a crystal ball. We can't totally
No.
predict things, but it is always interesting to just see where things are trending and shifting. So
Yeah.
hot topic.
Definitely something we'll have to track, and I'm gonna have to create like a new place on my whiteboard just for all the stories for GMH tracking. It's like, okay, we have a lot of stuff that is continuing to develop and to change and to update, obviously, as things are being closed and announced.
Yeah.
And yeah, lots of stuff. So keeping some job security on my end, but we have a
Yeah.
couple more topics
Totally.
to cover, Sarah, and I'm
Ooh.
excited for it because you've covered this before in the past, and I've seen you create some amazing short form content on your Instagram around the Apple AirTag and tracking your
Yes.
luggage and all this
I
other
need to
stuff.
drop that again.
So yes, you do. This is perfectly well timed.
Time.
So
No.
for the listener's sake, can you explain what this new partnership is with Delta Airlines?
Yeah. So, and it's so funny because I was recording this yesterday for the Skift Daily Briefing, sitting like in the Delta area next to like flight attendants as I'm like talking into a microphone. But this is great.
Yeah.
So, Apple and Delta are expanding their bag tracking through their share item location. So, as you can see here, they're joining forces on a new baggage tracking tech. For those that know, obviously, Apple AirTags has always, you toss a little AirTag into your bag. You can use your phone, Find My feature, and you can
Mhm.
always see where your bag is. Now, traditionally, before you would have that, and then you're like, oh, well, my bag isn't here. They're like, well, it shows that it's still in Cincinnati. And it's like, well, according to my phone, it's actually here. And so now what they've done is they've integrated the tech even more so that basically Delta will be able to have real-time visibility as far as where your bag is, and for airline
Yeah.
staff as well as travelers, which is, I think it's awesome.
Yeah. My favorite part about the story was not just about the deeper integration that Apple is getting into the travel space, but that
The
this
results.
API, well, not the results, it's
Okay.
the
Okay.
API that they were developing with Delta is not just
Mhm.
exclusive to Delta. So they have actually
Correct.
opened this API to allow other travel providers, whether it's airlines or basically anything involving travel,
Mhm.
to have this feature. And I think this is where travel needs to continue to go
Totally.
because how many times have you been pissed off that a system doesn't communicate to each other because they look like they were built in 1995 and on dial-up internet?
Totally.
And the tech just has never caught up to where iPhones and all this new fancy consumer tech that we have today. So
Totally.
for me, I was like, thank you for making it open and available for others. So that way we're not just having all the force feed into Delta. No offense. I know you're a big Delta fan, but
No, but like, I
it's,
mean, look, if you're
yeah,
flying on something else, like it can't force feed through. It doesn't make
yeah,
sense, of course. No, I'm airline agnostic when it comes to the tech. Okay,
yeah. All
all
right. All
right,
right.
all right. When the tech fees, just that part.
But yeah, so do you want to share the results though? I would actually love for your perspective
Okay.
on this.
Yeah. So this was cool. So since they've kind of done this like partnership already with the Apple AirTags, so far they're showing that there's 26% fewer retrieval delays because they're able to end up finding the bag earlier. And then there's also been, this is wild, 90% drop in truly lost bags. 90. That's I mean, that completely is a game changer.
Yeah. I was gonna say that's enough of a result to guarantee someone's performance bonus at the end of the year. Whoever came up with the idea,
For sure.
you better get that performance bonus
Uh,
because that's significant. It's huge.
that's changed the landscape. It makes me actually
Yeah.
think because there are a couple of those business out there that's like lost luggage stuff. I
Mhm.
actually went to it in Huntsville, Alabama. There's this famous store. I forget the exact name of it, but basically what they do is they end up buying from auction lost bags, and then what they do is they open it up and then they sell the contents from the inside. So for businesses like that, which are very strange business model to begin with, you guys are going to have less supply. Let's just put it like that. But it's wild. But I do want to come back to this, is that, by the way, and kind of going into your comment about it's not just a Delta piece. This is kind of
Yeah.
paving the way for everything else. It's also not just airlines. So I
Mhm.
love that, from rail, like trains,
Yeah.
cruises, festivals. So basically anywhere where people could potentially lose bags or items, they're all getting into this. So this is huge.
Yeah, I've been talking to a bunch of, I'm a big EDM head, so I've been like talking to a couple industry friends about,
Yeah.
potentially going to Tomorrowland if we could ever get
Mhm.
tickets, but like all these things, right? And
Yeah, yeah.
the worst part is, I have a Apple AirTag on my keys, my wallet, all my things. Um,
Yeah.
but it would just be so great, like because they all have their own apps, they all have their own,
Totally.
whatever for you to be connected and to have all the information. So to have that availability for the Find My Things type of feature,
Yeah.
incredible,
Yeah.
especially for that.
Oh, totally. No, it's great. This is definitely a game changer, um, just for the industry as a whole. I can't
Yeah.
tell you the number of friends that I still like. I had a good friend of mine who ended up going on a. This will be a huge story for another time, but she
Mhm.
ended up going on a cruise. She was flying from Atlanta. By the way, she did not ask me for help booking her stuff because she would not have been in a situation without, and she
Shame on
knows it.
her. Shame on her.
She had flights with 2 layovers to get from Atlanta all the way to Stockholm. The first flight was delayed, so then they missed the connection in Chicago, had to wait, go through the next day, then they had to go to Zurich, and then ultimately in Stockholm for, I think it was something like a 16-day cruise.
Mm.
Bags get completely lost. They have to go on the cruise. Of course, they didn't pack extra carry-ons or any
Oh,
clothing in their carry-on. They didn't have a tracker in their bag. Mind you, this was also like they were flying first class all the way. So
yeah.
this is wild that all this ended up happening. They end up starting the cruise with no luggage. And I think it was probably like day 8 or 10 into the cruise that the airline was finally like, "Oh, well, we finally found your bag." And she's like, "Send that home. I don't even need
Yeah.
it." So case in point, like we need this tech, like, and everybody needs it.
I think it's just a peace of mind piece too. Like,
Totally.
when an airline is like, "Oh, we don't know where it's at and it's lost," and then you're just consistently wondering, "Did someone take it? Did
Yeah,
this happen or did this happen?" And if you can just have it on your phone, the peace of mind, like, okay, it's at the airport, it somehow got
totally.
stuck in the conveyor belt or whatever, right? Like, or is on the plane, they just are, and maybe it's tucked in a corner that it's a black suitcase in a dark room, probably
Yeah,
very easily missed type
yeah,
thing. So it's
totally.
one of those like peace of mind pieces. I think any traveler would want, because I know when I'm traveling, I just want to know that my gate is there and my flight
Yeah,
hasn't changed. I want to make sure that my luggage comes with me if I ever check a bag, which I'm like Lou, who commented, I pretty much refuse to check a bag and only have a carry-on and a backpack. But at the end of the day, sometimes when I'm traveling with equipment or going for a
yeah,
conference,
you have to.
you have to. Um,
Well, it's funny. We traveled. I'm with my mom, and I specific because she moved recently, and so we specifically traveled with 5 checked suitcases, and I had
yeah,
like a carry-on in a suitcase because we're going to be filling it up to come back
yeah,
across to the West Coast. So I was like, "Ooh!" But happy to report, all made it, no problem.
and they were all tracked, probably,
They
guaranteed.
for sure. Exactly.
I love
So
it.
let's get to our last piece here. Let's talk about
Yes.
what's going on with Citizen M. So this is interesting. So the Citizen M CEO um, is talking about a $685 million loan and what is next after the Marriott sale. So this is a interesting thing. So Citizen M basically secured a $685 million loan, one of the largest, by the way, in the
Mhm.
lifestyle hotel segment, like since the pandemic.
Yeah.
Um, it's interesting because it comes months just after Marriott sold its stake. So it's kind of signaling this sort of like clean ownership path. But what are you seeing with this?
Well, what should surprise me with this was that so Marriott bought the Citizen M brand, and the owner group, the owner that had the brand, kept the property ownership under them. So they rebranded under a new name for the ownership group of the properties. But the thing that made this story stand out for me with what's something that Dennis mentioned earlier was with the Sonder crash out between Marriott and Sonder. Obviously,
Mhm.
they were able to get this loan. Citizen M was able to get this loan from JP Morgan Chase because of the affiliation with the Marriott brand. Now that Marriott
Yeah,
owns Citizen M, that made them more, I guess, less squirmish to give them the money.
yeah, yeah.
And when you have those types of deals happening with an affiliated brand that's always had a good name, but then yet something like a big burn, crash and burn with Sonder, different deal, right? Like Marriott didn't own Sonder as a brand. It was, I think the 20-year licensing deal was a foot in the water for that, but
Mhm.
it did not end well. And there's a ton of claims if you go on X or Reddit or any of these other platforms. There's so many guests still out $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 on their trips or their stays with Sonder and the Marriott handling of that.
Yeah.
So the good thing is good for this group, good for the ownership group of the properties to get this refinancial structure. There are, I think, got 3 new properties in development in the US currently. So they're going to be able to build out more into this brand that Marriott owns. But I think when
Mhm.
you have such a good reputation, you got this money based off of Marriott's reputation, it really shows like how important the reputation is when you handle anything, even with the
Oh,
licensing agreement like Sonder. So that for me is like, okay, they got the money because of the good rep, but
yeah.
how long can that go in the future now that Marriott has kind of a stain on its name?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really valid point. I mean, it is a great brand though, and it is
It is.
exciting. So I think that this is a smart move, and it makes sense. Even the actual like name makes sense.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Just because there's an M, and then Marriott. So,
for sure.
um, yeah,
I was
it'll be
also
it.
surprised.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, no, no. Go for it.
Well, I was surprised to hear the former CEO talk about how fast the integration was into the Marriott
Mhm,
system with the brand. So
mhm.
they closed on the sale of the brand in July, and by
Yeah,
November they were up and running with full integration. So yeah, it's pretty good. I was
yeah,
surprised. I was like, dang, normally it's not that fast with big corporations. So
yeah.
um,
Oh,
good for them.
no, no, no. It's totally wild. I mean, it's gonna be interesting. Again, like it's a fun brand, and just to kind of see how this evolves,
Mhm.
like where, yeah, it's gonna be. For again, it's gonna be interesting, and there's more just players on the scene and options for travelers. So I'm a big
Yeah.
fan of that always.
Definitely. Well, I know we're a little bit over our time, but
Oh my
we
gosh.
are in the season of Thanksgiving, and you and I saw something really funny on Instagram
Oh my
yesterday.
gosh. Yes, yes, let's do this. We're switching it all up today.
Yeah, we're switching it all up, so we're going a little bit deeper, and it was just really funny to see Sean Duffy talk about having a little bit more respect when coming to the holiday travel around
Yeah.
Thanksgiving, and so we saw this clip of him talking about this. Sarah, do you want to share any thoughts or opinions, or should we just roll the clip
No,
here and
no,
go?
roll it and we'll talk about
All
it
right.
afterwards. I love it.
Okay, here we go.
Try not to wear slippers and pajamas as we come to the airport. But I think we have to think about how do we do a better job? How do we, maintain maybe some of that frustration we have as we travel this Thanksgiving season? Maybe we should say please and thank you to our pilots and to our flight attendants. I think again I call this just maybe dressing with some respect. Whether it's a pair of jeans and a decent shirt. I would encourage people to maybe dress a little better, which encourages us to maybe behave a little better. Let's try not to wear slippers and pajamas as we come to the airport. Let's try not to wear slippers and
I'll
pajamas
take
as we come to the
take
airport.
that
I
off
love
there.
that.
But
Um,
what are your thoughts when you're being told not to wear something that you find comfortable on a very uncomfortable process of flying on an airplane for
so
who knows how long?
here's the thing. You can still be comfortable and be kind of put together. It's one thing if you're coming in and yeah, I'll say that. I have very much a routine of what I wear. I've got my specific, like, I've got a yoga pants, but I've got like a whole there's a matching thing. I choose the specific shoes. I don't wear like my dirty sneakers. I'm wearing like clean white, like there's a look that I generally go for that's absolutely comfortable. But because I get it, like look, you think about it, you're like, oh, well, dress up, and it's your feet swell. What are you doing? You're wearing tighter shoes. Like it just doesn't always make sense. But you can still be comfortable and dress, I think, respectably. Don't you?
I think so, but I just find it kind of insane that they're telling us like, hey, travel with some respect in terms of like make yourself look better. And it's like, well, make the experience better. And maybe I'll like want to show up and like be better. But I also agree with you. I'm the same, like where I have the same routine, easy slip off shoes,
Yeah.
my joggers, a pullover hoodie so I don't have to take it off with the screening thing. Really easy things to make it, I don't wear a belt. So, right. Like you don't have to take off your belt
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
everything.
Sure. Yeah. Totally.
but now with the TSA rule, I guess, keep your shoes on. But anyways, I just thought it was funny. I was like, all right, telling us to travel. I do agree with the statement, be thankful, say thank you, say please, use your manners.
That 100%. That and we say, oh my gosh, it was so funny. Yesterday, my mom was like, "Happy Thanksgiving" to every. She was fine. I was laughing at her like, "Oh my gosh, you were like out of control." She's like, "Don't you say it?" I'm like, "Oh, I absolutely say it." But when I have a actual interaction with somebody, I'm like, "You're seeking people out to say Happy Thanksgiving to them." I'm like, "You get out of the house. What's going on?"
Maybe they need it. Maybe they need it. Maybe
No,
she needed it.
Exactly. But it is. I will say this: seeing her do that. I always love watching interactions because I can kind of be a little bit of like a fly on the wall. But when she does that, and she would seek it. I mean, the bathroom attendants, like the ladies like cleaning the bathroom, she would be, "Have a happy Thanksgiving." The way that their face would brighten up and they're like, "Thank you, happy Thanksgiving." Especially because like maybe you are walking by somebody that might be like cleaning the floors, but we're in such a rush. We're just walking past them. So taking that moment to say thank you, be it to the flight attendants, obviously the pilots, but then to others, the TSA agents, the people that are attending the bathrooms, all of that makes such and even if they're not celebrating it, sometimes people I think get too caught up like, oh, well, not everybody celebrates Thanksgiving. Not everybody celebrates Christmas. Calm down. Okay. It's like, it's the sentiment.
It's the sentiment. Yes. 100%. It's the sentiment behind it all. Well, speaking of sentiment, I don't want to keep our listeners over too much, but do you have a real-time recap moment you would like to share for?
That's a great. You're putting it on me first. Oh my god!
I have one queued up if you want me to go.
Okay, but... You start because I've got so many great things.
Okay. Well, I'll be quick. So I've been going on a lot of 14er hikes. For those who don't know what that is, you go on mountains for that 14,000 feet over sea level elevation. And they're intense, but they're fun. And it's been a great way to get outdoors and also use the gear that I've been spending all my money on. But there's this guy that I've met twice now, and his name's Oliver, and he's actually really popular in all these like 14er climbing groups on Facebook. He's done over 100 peaks in a year and a half, and which all the biggest peaks in Colorado, which is crazy because there's some pretty intense ones. And he's known as the rosary guy, and he gives out rosaries to people who are climbing the same mountain as him or at the trailhead or whatever. And so he gave me a rosary, or he attempted to give me a rosary on the struggle bus that we were on for the first time we met. And he ran out, and so we got to chatting and got to hear his story a little bit. He's a really great guy. And then ran into him at this last one this weekend, and he was like, "Oh, Will," he remembered me. I was like, "Oh my gosh, like crazy to see you again." So it was really cool. Just made my day because like going into the hike, I was just like, all right, like that was a really positive experience. And he was just out there. He wasn't even climbing that day. I was like, "Are you going to summit with me?" And he's like, "Nope, I'm just here to give out rosaries to people and say hello." And he's doing the same thing on Thanksgiving. And yeah, just really cool way to give back to the community, whether you're a believer in that faith or not. Like he was just really seeking intention with people. And I really appreciated it. So
I love
my real-time recap.
Oh my god, I got chills when you were sharing that. And that's a great point. Like it's not necessary. I mean, obviously, if you are of that faith, the rosaries would be that much more special. But even if you're not, it's still like it's totally the sentiment. And I love that. And I love that he's like, he's not even summiting that day, and he's still going out there to just set the tone for people.
Yeah, it was early in the morning too, and cold. So good for him.
That's wild. Yeah, we need more of that type of stuff in the world. Well, I will say this. I feel like sometimes like a broken record talking about my love for Delta, but I will say this. You're like, I knew it was coming.
I knew it.
So I've had 3 flights in the past 4 days. 2 of them have been delayed. So the first one was from Los Angeles to Las Vegas, which was hilarious because that's like a 45-minute flight, and my flight was delayed 3 hours. I could have easily driven faster, but I'm trying to get my status for next year, so everybody knows about those mileage runs. And so, but they were really good as far as communicating. And this was actually different. They communicate, even the communication via text sort of said like, "Oh, we're waiting on crew," or something along those lines. So we had an idea as far as what was going on, because sometimes you have a delay, but you're like, "Well, the plane's here. I don't understand. Is it a mechanical issue? Is it a crew issue? Is it this?" And so just without going into too many details, they just kind of worded it ideally, or in a way that you could at least know what was going on. And they kept the updates going, and they were really wonderful with that. And then, I just reached out to them afterwards. No, without a question, they sent me some more miles just as an apology. And then yesterday also we were delayed coming from Atlanta to Allentown, a smaller flight, but again, they were also very communicative, super nice. So just shout out to them for just half the time. And this is, I think you'll probably agree with this when it comes to when I think back on my hotel experience, people understand stuff goes wrong, for whatever reason. They might be bummed about it or it's annoying or whatever, but look, we all live in the world. Nothing's perfect, but it is all in how you communicate. And if you can communicate honestly, that goes such a long way versus being like, oh, I don't know, or hiding things because people feel like they're being lied to. That like makes the problem worse. So if you're just like, hey, we're just waiting for a crew, or it's bad weather, the pilot is delayed coming in because of this, like, okay, cool, we get it. It may be a bummer, but we can handle that. So always lead with that in case you have to deliver any sort of news. And shout out to Delta for just doing it right. That's why I fly with them. Customer service is on point. I'm dying to know how they train their staff because they are phenomenal.
Yeah, definitely have to open up that playbook for the rest of the industry to follow along because not everyone does it. So no, that's good. That's good. I like it. Well, this was fun.
This is fun. And I have to say, super, super grateful that you were able to join. I know this is the season of being thankful, but, kind of just in looking back, since you've included us to, myself and Steve to be part of the Good Morning Hospitality team, to this whole transition to Skift, to how the brand and the show has evolved. So thankful because I know you're not on camera a lot with us all the time, but for those that don't know, Will is moving mountains behind the scenes. So super thankful for you because we would not be here today on this platform. None of this would be happening without you. So just want to say super thankful for you. All right.
Well, that just made my whole day. So thank you so much. No, it's been an incredible 5 years with the pod with you and Steve. You guys do a lot too on the sense of just being committed to the time. It's a live show. It's,
wild
things happen behind the scenes. It's constantly adapting to new stories or new takes or even getting a guest on like we had with Dennis. So I just appreciate you guys' commitment to it and to believe in the dream as much as I did to get to the point with Skift, where obviously this is a big milestone. And we're just excited for the next round of changes. So I'm thankful for you guys' friendship also because getting to work with you on more than just one thing and to understand like we were friends first as well. So yeah, really thankful. A
lot goes on behind the scenes, everyone. So, and also thankful to everybody that takes the time to join us live. That's huge. Yes. Obviously, if you listen to the replay, super appreciative of that. And hopefully you guys get great value of it. That's why you subscribe and all of that and share it with others. But also really, really, really grateful for those that come and join us live. I love this because that makes it interesting and fun. And you see, like, we can have crazy things that might take the show in a different direction because you are interacting with us live. So please 100%. Continue to do so. If you haven't yet and you're hearing this on a replay, join us on the live segment. We'll give you a shout out. Even tell us it's your first time. We'll make sure to do an extra special shout out for you if you do. So love it.
100%. Well, without further ado, have a great Thanksgiving, everybody. And like always, like and subscribe to your favorite podcast platform on Good Morning Hospitality, wherever you find it. And like always, we'll see you again next week.
And stay hospitable.
Stay hospitable. Dang it, I forgot about that part. Such a good part. All right. Thanks, everybody.